Welcome to Overeaters Anonymous Hour of Power. For those of you who would like to take part after a moment of silence, please join me in saying the Serenity Prayer. I'll give you a moment to unmute by pressing star 1. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. The sharing ID for accessing the recording of yesterday's meeting is 22425 pound. The OA-HOP Fellowship is a phone meeting that unites all compulsive overeaters who wish to share their experience with the common problem of compulsive overeating and the common solution as stated in Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to compulsive overeaters and to practice these principles in all our affairs. The OA-HOP phone meeting takes place Monday through Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. All meetings are recorded and can be played back at any time by dialing 712-432-5203 and entering the conference number 956915 pound and pressing 0 pound to hear the latest recorded meeting, or by entering the sharing ID for a previously recorded meeting. While listening to a recorded meeting on the phone, playback can be paused and resumed by pressing star 1. It can be fast-forwarded by pressing star 6 and rewound by pressing star 4. During the OA-HOP meeting, we read and share on the books Alcoholics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. A free copy of either book can be viewed online from the Alcoholics Anonymous website at aa.org. Today, we will be reading from the book Alcoholics Anonymous. We are on page 60, and we are on the first paragraph right after, which starts with many of us exclaimed. Thank you. Many of us exclaimed. Okay, my name is Diana. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater, and I'll be your moderator today. There are no restrictions on who can read or share during this meeting. If you would like to volunteer when we need a reader, please press star 1 to unmute your phone, pause to make sure that no one else is speaking, and then ask to read. After you have been recognized and have read a paragraph or two, you might either share on what was read or pass. We stay on topic by only sharing on the paragraph read. This is not a discussion meeting. To give everyone a chance to participate, please keep your shares to 3 minutes or less. It may be helpful to use a timer when you share. When finished, say pass and press star 1 to mute your phone. Please do not use the mute button on your phone instead of the star 1 function. If you are not speaking and your phone is not muted by using star 1, your phone will be muted by the administrator. This ensures a quiet line and a clear recording. We stick to singleness of purpose and avoid confusion by identifying ourselves as compulsive overeaters. We keep the focus by having a spiritual awakening. We ask that you refrain from profanity, crosstalk, and giving advice in this meeting. When reading the AA books, the words should not be changed but read as is. We would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers, to this meeting. If you are currently suffering from compulsive overeating and would like the spiritual solution as explained in the book Alcoholics Anonymous, please send an email to oahop@hotmail.com, leaving your request for a recovered sponsor along with your phone number and time zone. Information about the OA-HOP Fellowship, including our meeting times and sharing IDs for accessing recordings of past meetings, can be found on our Overeaters Anonymous Hour of Power Facebook page at facebook.com/oahop.org. You do not need a Facebook account to access the page. I will repeat this information at the end of the meeting. We are responsible when anyone, anywhere reaches out for help. We want the hand of OA, our power, always to be there. And for that, we are responsible. Okay, so again, we are in the Alcoholics Anonymous book, page 60. It's the first paragraph after step 12 there, which starts with many of us exclaimed. May I have a volunteer to read this for us, please?
Diana, I'd be glad to read that. This is Paula.
Oh, great, Paula. Go ahead.
I'm Paula, recovered compulsive overeater. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. And I'm going to pass for now. Thank you for your service.
Okay, thank you, Paula. Thank you for reading. Who would like to start the sharing on this paragraph that Paula read?
Yeah, it's Katya. I'll start us out. Hold on.
Okay, great. Thank you,
There's
Katya.
there's two things that occurred to me. First thing, before I forget it, because I'm forgetting things these days, is I just noticed for the first time that they describe the steps as principles. And that was, that's interesting. So it's the principles that are contained within the steps. The other thing I was thinking is how at the time they wrote the book, they were basically just counting on the book. There wasn't any meetings or sponsors. So they spent quite a long time going through step one, the first 43 pages, including the doctor's opinion. And then they go into step two with we agnostics. And then they're outlining the program of action. And they're assuming that somebody's read all of it in order up until now. And they're reading about, what they need to do in order to stop drinking. And the idea being that, sorry, there's somebody on the trail here. The idea being that the person would read this and be kind of like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. So they're addressing that. They're addressing the fact that a person has read these steps and is going, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And so they're just talking to that reader saying, hey, don't worry. Some of us too have went, oh my goodness. And don't worry, this is about growing along spiritual lines. And because I was thinking too about like the jokes always about like if you're in the rooms of AA, you already know what's coming with step 8 and 9. So you tailor your fourth step because you don't want to do the 8th and 9th. Anyway, my point being is it's meant to be done one step at a time. And usually when you do the step before, there's more willingness. So it builds on each other. So for example, if I do 4, then 5, 6, and 7, I'm going to be a lot more willing to do 8 and 9 than I was before I did the steps before it. But if I were to look at it all, I'd just feel like, oh, no, this is too much. Thanks. I'll pass. And I will pass. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you for your share, Katya. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
This is Nancy. I'd like to share.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. Go ahead.
Nancy, recovered compulsive overeater. I relate to this paragraph in having taken the steps. These principles are now the guiding force of my life. And I should, and I'm not, and I shouldn't be discouraged, but I'm encouraged because no one has been able to completely stick to the guides at first. But I must be willing to grow spiritually, and then these principles will become second nature to me. So today, I'm not perfect, but I'm willing, and I'll pass.
Thank you, Nancy, for your share. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
This is Jeannie. May I share?
Yes, Jeannie. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you so much for making this meeting possible. I'm Jeannie, a recovered compulsive overeater, and what an order. It was a big order for me in the beginning. I like here that they balance their stern messages. To me, they're very no nonsense, and this is what you really need to do lots of times throughout the book. But then they balance it with this compassion of don't be discouraged, because if I didn't reach a goal or an aim or something, I was discouraged. Sometimes I put myself down. Sometimes it was somebody else's fault. It was something not right. But this is telling me go easy, ride the waves. Don't demand it to always be perfect. And I needed to learn how to accept that when things weren't perfect, that was part of God's plan too. I need to keep striving toward perfection, that spiritual perfection, and give and accept and notice and give thanks for spiritual progress. In the beginning, I was not eating the way I wanted to, and lots of times I still think, that's the old diet mentality that I shouldn't have this or that. But I have to really shine the spotlight on the progress that has been made. How I not only don't go on any benders anymore, which were terrible, and long lasting. I don't want to, and I can't imagine myself doing that. And I've got to. That's part of my. They're talking here about paying attention to humility, adherence to the principles. I'm glad that was pointed out by somebody else. That it is the principles I need to practice. That is what I need. That's what I need in my life now. Not more control. It was a big thing for me to learn that I didn't have a food problem. I had a living problem, a spiritual illness, and that's what needed to be addressed. And they helped me with that tremendously in this book. So I learned patience, and that last sentence. I remember a lot of us in my face-to-face meetings for years as shrug our shoulders and kind of put our hands up, spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection, as if, we shrugged it off, and I didn't realize how much I needed to aim and work toward and take action on working towards spiritual perfection. So I don't have that come see, come saw sort of idea of that anymore, and I'm glad. But God, they're telling me God is in charge here, not my ego, not my way, my self-centered way, not my demands. And so I'm very grateful for it, and I get to practice this daily, willing to grow along spiritual lines. That was important for me to know. Just practice it, and stop. Get your hands off of it. Stop running it. Just see what God has in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you for your share. Who else would like to share on this paragraph? We are on page 60, right after step 12 there at the top, where it says, many of us exclaimed.
Hi, this is Sherry. I'd like to share.
Okay, great, Sherry. Go ahead.
Thanks very much. I'm Sherry, a recovered compulsive overeater. In the paragraph before having had that spiritual awakening, we try to carry this message by practicing these principles in all of our affairs. And this is where action comes into place. Action where we have to look at our lives and we have to see how we're acting. Are we treating others with love and respect? Are we, we're not saints, no, because we're human, right? And we're not perfect. But the point is that word willing. And so I have to be willing to keep growing and to keep loving and to keep treating others with love and respect. And with that, and because my higher power is with me, he gives me that strength and that power to continue to grow and to to progress and reach, always reaching for that spiritual perfection. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you for sharing, Sherry. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Diana, this is Zeb. May I share?
Yes, Deb. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Diana. This paragraph, it addresses someone who's taken all 12 steps that was just read. At those 12 steps for someone who is just starting their journey, it's easy for them to say, wow, what an order. It's difficult to see me going through all this. And it said, don't be discouraged. The thing about it is, in going through these steps, the sponsor and people working with other sufferers want to be positive and constructive, never destructive and condemning. And so it's a confession here that no one of us are maintaining anything like perfection. And what I was hearing in my face-to-face meetings was the mantra, progress, not perfection, which goes against step 6, because step 6 says spiritually adult people strive for spiritual and moral perfection. But there was, matter of fact, it was acceptable to relapse. People were constantly relapsing in the face-to-face meetings, and they would just say, "Oh, that's normal. That's just the way it goes. Just keep coming back. It works if you work it. Just keep coming back." And so, not only was relapsing acceptable, but falling short spiritually and morally was acceptable. Oh, I'm not perfect. Of course I'm going to fall short. Of course I'm going to sin. Of course I'm going to do this. And so it was all types of justifications. And when they say it works if you work it, that's putting the responsibility on me. I'm depending on me and not depending on this power greater than myself to form this miracle in my life. But it says the point is that I'm going to practice the principles. I'm not practicing the steps. Take the steps. You practice the principles. It's a totally different thing. When you're going through the journey, you take the steps and you practice the principles once you have gone through the steps. Because this is a program of action, action, and more action, not religiously taking certain steps over and over and over and over again as a religious practice. And it says these principles are guidelines for progress. So I measure my progress to how close and how often I can achieve perfection. And that keeps me from resting on my laurels. I always have more to do. And also, in the early days of the first 100, they didn't dilly-dally around. You took steps 1 and 2 before you ever went to a meeting. You went to the meeting and you took step 3, and they voted to see how sincere you were in taking step 3. Then after you took step 3, you sit down, you wrote out your inventories, you did 4, 5, 6, 7, and you left to go 6, 7, and 8, and then you left the meeting to go out and do your 9th step amends. That's how quickly they went through the steps. And if you read the stories, you can tell that they recovered in a few days. It wasn't a weeks or months. It was days that they went through the steps, because these people were desperate individuals who were on a life and death mission. And when you're on a life and death mission and you're desperate, you don't have time to dilly-dally around, because the longer it takes you to go through the longer it takes you to take the steps, the more opportunity for a relapse. And for some people, one more relapse would mean death. And with that, I pass.
Thank you for sharing, Zeb. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Hi, Diana. This is Kit. May I share, please?
Yes, Kit, please do.
Thank you. Thank you for your service this morning. I'm Kit, a recovered compulsive overeater. And I'm looking at the first word of the paragraph. Many of us explained what an order. I can't go through with it. There were also some of us that were at the point where we could not go through with it. So I think, to me, it's important to say that this morning is that really at the point of desperation, I couldn't afford not to give it a try, at least, and not to judge that it wasn't going to work or that I couldn't do it before I actually got started. So to me, it's really encouraging to know that with the humility to set aside my self-centeredness and be willing to grow into having a higher power of my definition and becoming closer and closer to my higher power and finding out what the will of my higher power is in my life so that I can be of service and loving and tolerant to the people around me, and to be willing to grow. Those things aren't always such a tall order as they might seem for the real compulsive overeater. So, I never want to make the excuse about progress, not perfection. In the back of my mind at all times is the sentence, I'm growing towards the perfection of my Creator day by day, and I have the power of that Creator to help me along the way. And with that, I pass. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Kit. Who else would like to share on this paragraph? My name's Diana, and I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. And I guess kind of what is hitting me in this is, where they say, do not be discouraged. They're saying very kindly and gently not to be discouraged, but they're not saying don't stop here, to stop, stop working this program. They're saying, to me, it's not that. I need to keep on keeping on and to keep praying every day for willingness to keep growing along spiritual lines. And to continue to pray for that trust in God's timetable, that things are going to continue to be shown to me. I'm going to continue with getting a better, closer relationship with my higher power as I continue to work these principles in my life. But, I just think that they do have a lot of tough language in here, but I need that, and I need to remember that, the fruits of my labor, through the grace of God, do come. And with that, I'll pass. Would anybody else like to share on this paragraph? Okay, let's go on.
This is Jeannie. May I share?
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Good, thank you. Wait a minute. What did we just read?
We read, many of us claimed what an order.
Right okay, sorry. Sorry, I didn't, I thought we went on to the other one because I had an interruption here. So I thought we went on to the next part. Okay, do you want me to read the next part?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, 3 points, A, B, and C.
Okay. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. I'm going to share on this. This is just very powerful and made quite an impact on me. This is, I thought, do you really get this? A powerlessness was, really knowing real powerlessness is essential instead of all that trying, thinking another sponsor will do it, hundreds of meetings will do it, listening to people's stories, all that, and answering questions and making outreach calls. None of that helped. This is really I cannot do it. God can and will, and I'll ask him to. And so this was very important for me. And this is also it's essential that this is taking steps 1 and 2. This is, do you agree with this or not? And this is the culmination of the last 59 pages. All from 1 to up to this page 60, it's all about steps 1 and 2, over and over and over. They really needed to drive that home. That's such an important base. And I read somewhere in the history of, and this made a big impact on me too, that in the original book, when they originally had this with people, they would say these 3 things, and they'd say, now, if you don't agree with these 3, then take this book home, read the whole thing again, over again, or throw it out. It's not for you. That is so powerful. That's how important those first 2 steps are. And I finally got it. Thank goodness I got it. And this was for me, getting out of all that, looking for human answers. That's all I was ever doing. So, and I've had people where they'd go, well, I said, do you agree with this, that you are a compulsive overeater and you cannot manage it at all? And nothing, not even me, no great militant sponsor, nothing. And the group can't. That only your higher power can. And do you agree with that? And I've had people go, well, sort of. And then I tell that story that they said, take this book home, read it again, get yourself in that right. Are you in that right frame of mind that this is what's required here? Is it to go on? Do you know that God is going to be the one, nothing else? So it's very, very powerful for me, and grateful that I finally saw it. Thank you. I pass.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you for reading and sharing. Who else would like to share on this?
This is Nancy. I'd like to share.
Great, Nancy. Go ahead.
Nancy, recovered compulsive overeater. In looking at this section, I really like the way they lay a foundation and they build it up. And then they point back and they remind me of everything they said up until that time. Because in that simple, short wording, they described everything they did. They talked about the alcoholic problem. Then they talked to those who didn't believe in the power greater. And then they laid out all of the stories for me to relate to, so that I could make sure. And at the end of that 3rd item, that God could and would, I could understand I need to seek him. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you for your share, Nancy. Who else? You know what? I'm going to make a break at the moment because I have an announcement to make for everybody. We're starting a new meeting on the first Saturday of each month. We will have a newcomers meeting. It will include a recovered speaker and a question and answer period. And, of course, all are welcomed, especially newcomers. And this is going to start on June 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. And please join us. I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. So back to where we're at. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Hi, Diana.
Hi.
I heard two people come in. I'm not sure who.
This
Diana,
is Sherry. May I share?
I'm not going to share, so the other person can go ahead in a second.
Okay.
But I'm confused about the time. I heard 10 o'clock once and 11 o'clock once. So could you get a confirmation of that?
Okay, it's
again,
10 o'clock Central Time, which makes it 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome, Kit. And I'm sure, was that Sherry that came in?
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Thank you. I'm Sherry, recovered compulsive overeater. These are the first two steps. A and B is step 1, and C is step 2. And I remember looking at this, and I remember saying, yes, I'm a compulsive overeater. I can't manage my own life. I've tried for years and years and years, all types of different things. And B, no human power could have relieved it. Nope. No doctors, no psychiatrists, psychologists, and definitely not myself. I couldn't relieve it. I was completely powerless. And then that God could and would if he were sought. That's when the rubber hit the road right there for me. Because when I was in other meetings, I never saw that. I don't know why. I never got it. And when I saw that, it was like, this is not about me. It's not about me at all. This is about God taking care to, if he were sought, and then we're at step 3, when we turn our will over, when I turn my will over. So it's a great steps. I love A, B, and C. I love it. With that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for sharing. Who else would like to share on this? We're at, I'm not sure. I think he called it the second paragraph, but it starts with our description of the alcoholic and then gives the 3 points, A, B, and C. That's what we have just read.
Hi, this is Vienna. May I share?
Vienna, is that it?
Yeah, Vienna. V as in Victor.
Okay, great. Pretty name. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for your service. Vienna, recovered compulsive overeater. And I remember so many years of reading these 3 pertinent ideas. And the problem I had before working with a recovered sponsor in this fellowship was that I believed these 3 things. And yes, I believed in C. I believed that God could and would if he were sought. And I thought that I was seeking him. For some reason, I'm wanting to say soughting him. But I thought that I was seeking him and seeking my higher power. And what I learned when working with my recovered sponsor is that there are certain things I need to do in order to actually access that power. And so previously, before working with a recovered sponsor here, I just, I would pray, I would ask for help, I would, trust that God could and would relieve me from this insanity. And, often I even was to the extreme of I've given up making any decisions on my own and just saying, show me, God. But what I hadn't done is I hadn't changed my thinking. I hadn't cleaned up my past resentments that I was still holding on to. I hadn't changed my thinking. I was still judging people. I was still, really in my will, in my mind. And maybe my actions were and I even learned over time that like my actions will be in alignment with God if I'm not living in fear, if I'm not carrying around resentments, if I'm treating people, well. Anyway, so that was a key important piece and a key piece I missed when I would read these 3 pertinent ideas over and over again in the previous years, because I really did love them. They definitely spoke truth to me. Yet I didn't know that there was some very important steps I needed to take. So I didn't go beyond that, I suppose. Yes, I will pass now. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing, Vienna. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
This is Jeannie. May I share?
Yes, Jeannie, go ahead.
Yeah, the beautiful share right now was just really triggered something in me too. That and I saw so many proteges doing the same thing. That years ago, that part about God could and would if you were sought. And I thought, I'm seeking Him all the time. And stalking is a really good word for it. But begging it, I was always begging, and didn't see how much I was in the way. I still wanted it all my way. I still wanted to keep myself. I wasn't aware that I was keeping my self-centeredness. That was just a given. And this book teaches me, no, that has to be gotten. That has to be turned away from. It has to die out. Die to self is the biggest message in this book that changed my life. Dying to self-absorption, self goals, everything for me. And then my seeking God was just begging Him to go along with what I thought would just be the perfect thing, the way I wanted it. Would be answer my demands, answer my requests, my requirements, and then was very frustrated when I didn't get it. But the point that was just made was so beautiful, that I was in the way, and this book teaches me how to get out of the way. As the pages come up now, they're just life changing, and I couldn't just beg God to do it the way I wanted to. Thank you. I pass.
Thank you for sharing, Jeannie. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Hi, Diana. It's Kit. May I share, please?
Yes, you sure may. Go ahead, Kit.
Thank you. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. And point C really grabs me in the heart because it's a promise. And this book is filled with the promises, not just the ones in steps 8 and 9, but there's promises everywhere. And in general, there's an if. This promise is guaranteed if I seek God. And that's kind of at the point where I was a little bit bewildered, because I thought I'd been seeking God all my life. And really, I was only self-seeking God all of my life. I wasn't seeking God out of anything but, selfishness. That's the word for it. And this book is also promised me at the beginning that it is a textbook, that they're going to be clear-cut, precise decisions for me to seek God in a way that is in God's purpose and will allow me to be of use to God and to other people, and to live a happy and free life. And so I hold this promise still very dear, that God can and will do everything if I continue to seek God. And now that means on a daily basis, putting myself in God's hands and listening for what God's will is, and acting. I need to be acting. That I pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Kit. Thank you for your share. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Diana, this is Zeb. May I share?
Yes, Zeb, please go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm Zeb. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. And the purpose of this big book, it was written for individuals to recover using only this big book. Because at the time this big book was produced, there were very limited sponsors. There were very limited meetings. So majority of the people recovered from just reading the book. So what it did was give me 59 pages of information to give me the ability to be able to either agree or disagree with the first two steps. And a lot of people prefer the 12 and 12 because they like it laid out for them. This is step 1. This is step 2, very clearly distinguished in the 12 and 12. Where here, it takes a certain amount of effort and work in order to understand the steps as they're laid out here. And even more so, it takes spiritual wisdom and effort to unearth the principles that need to be practiced. And many people just aren't up to the task. But it says, our description of the alcoholic. So it's telling me as a compulsive overeater, my description of the compulsive overeater was someone who had lost the power of choice and control. That when I would start overeating, I would lose control over the amount of food that I ate, and I would eat too much. And 2, that I could not choose to stop and stay stopped. That I had that mental obsession, that blank spot, the insanity, where I would believe a lie that it's okay to overeat this time. And I would act on that lie, and off I would go on another binge. And so I was powerless to stop because of the condition of my body and the condition of my mind. And then it says, this description, the agnostic. The agnostic, I don't have to believe anything. What I needed to have was an open mind and put aside my prejudices. If I can do that, then I can develop a beautiful spiritual program without believing anything. And that's what I did as an agnostic. I came into this program. I followed the precise directions in this book, and God produced a miracle within me and removed the obsession and got rid of my desire to overeat. So I am now can speak about my experience that I've had, my vital spiritual experience, and then A, it says here that we were an alcoholic and could not manage our lives. So it's saying here, I have the condition of the body and I have the condition of the mind, which is step 1, 2 parts. And then B, that possibly no human power could relieve our alcoholism. Is there anything else human I want to do? Do I want to go to 100 meetings? Do I want to make phone calls? Do I want to keep doing 10 steps? Do I want to do 1, 2, 3 every morning? Is there anything through human effort that I want to do that's going to relieve this issue? And that's what I tell any prospect that I work with. Is there anything else human you want to do? Or are you now open to spiritual help? And then C, this is the spiritual help that God could and would if he were sought. So if I were to seek this power greater than myself, I either believe it would help, or if there isn't a power out there that I can connect to, then I'm doomed to suffer with this disease and to the day I die. So I don't have to necessarily believe, but I need a power greater than myself. And if it's not there and I'm not able to connect, I am doomed to continue to overeat till the day I die. And with that, I pass.
Thank you for sharing, Deb. Who else would like to share on this paragraph and 3 points, A, B, and C? My name's Diana, and I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. And I just want to say that for many years, I didn't understand these 3 points, really. I thought I was supposed to find the perfect food plan and adhere to it, and that was my recovery. So my abstinence from certain foods and following this food plan, that was recovery. And I didn't understand. I couldn't do it, for one thing. So I never got beyond that. But now, thank you, God, my outlook and attitude on life has truly changed. And I know now that it's just totally different. Totally different. Recovery is totally different than what I thought it was going to be like. And it's so much better than what I thought, because I thought that I was going to always still have it like a chain around my neck about having to adhere to a food plan and having to eat a certain way when I went out and went to parties and all that, everything that is involved with all that. And it's not about that at all. It's about surrendering to God and to what His will, as I see it and feel it every day. And that has come about because of working the step. It's just really miraculous. I think there's somewhere in the book that they say that we'll never fully understand, the disease and recovery, how it happens. But it is transformational to work these steps. And I know that because of my own experience. And I hear it in the words of other people on this phone line. I can hear the truth, and that it's really surrendering over to something greater than myself, giving everything towards that being, and living life on just a totally different level. And with that, I'll pass. Would anybody else like to share on this paragraph in 3 points? We will go on then to the next paragraph, which starts with being convinced. We were at step 3. Who would like to read it for us?
This is Karen. Can I read?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Karen.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Being convinced, we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood Him. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? Do you want me to stop there?
Yes. Thank you. Would you like to share on that, Karen, or no?
Yeah, I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you for reading it, Karen. Who would like to share on this paragraph?
This is Jeannie. May I share?
Yes, Jeannie, you sure can. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. What I get out of this small paragraph here is that I remember being told this is just a decision. I never knew that until I came to the Hour of Power, that it is just a decision, that the going through the steps, starting and continuing to practice all the principles I learned in the steps is what's going to make it actually happen. But this is a decision, and it's a somber, very serious one, because I had a lot around this, and every once in a while still it would come up. I was such a control freak that it was hard for me to let go and trust and have faith. But I was told by somebody many years ago, the producer runs the show, not the actors. And as long as I keep turning away from myself and looking to get closer to God on a daily basis, that it would grow. But I need to remember that at this point, until I went through the steps, it was just a decision, but an important one. And the next couple of pages they devote to this decision. And looking forward to it. Very many good things to say about how to get rid of a lot of directions to help me get rid of myself. And I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Jeannie. Who else would like to share on this paragraph?
Diana, this is Zeb. May I share?
Yes, Doug. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I'm Zeb. I'm recovered compulsive overeater. It says here, being convinced. This is in reference to step 1 and 2, or A, B, and C. If I'm convinced, I agree with steps 1 and 2, then that means that now we were at 3. So it didn't say you work the steps. You don't study the steps. It's not about highlighting and underlining and putting stars around them. It's that I am convinced. I have taken the steps to my heart, my soul, my spirit, the first 2 steps. Now I'm at step 3. And step 3 is a decision. So there's no work for the first 3 steps. I was in a meeting once, face-to-face meeting, and a lady shared that her sponsor had her working on step 2 for 2.5 years. And I went over to her and I said, what are you doing for 2.5 years on step 2? And she was talking about how she had to come up with a symbol for her higher power. She had to put a one ad together for it and describe all the different characteristics of it. And I just said, okay, I've heard enough. But I mean, that's what happens when people add stuff that's not in the book. But the book says, if I'm convinced of C, or 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2, then I am ready for step 3. And step 3 is a decision. So I either agree with steps 1 and 2 or I don't. I either make a decision at step 3 to follow through with the remaining steps, or I don't. It's just that simple. And when I'm working with a protege, that's what I do. I meet with them, and the first time we meet, we do the first 2 steps, and I introduce step 3. I give them at least 24 hours and come back, and when we get back together, we do step 3 and their first resentment inventory, do their inventory, resentment inventory. So I follow the outline in this book. I don't dilly-dally around, and people get through the steps in a very short period of time, and many of them do recover. And it's pretty much the format that's followed in this book. So 2 affirmations, do I agree? Steps 1 and 2. And step 3 is just merely a decision to turn my life and my will over to the care of God. Now, my life is my action, and my will are my thoughts. And so it's going to address 2 wrong ways of thinking and 2 wrong ways of acting. The wrong way of thinking is to have a resentment. The wrong way of thinking is to have a fear. So those have to be mastered. And then the wrong way of acting is in my sex life in a way that is detrimental to the relationship to the one I love. And then cleaning up the wreckage of the past. That is addressing actions that I've done. And so if I can address and master those 2 wrongs, as far as wrong thinking and wrong acting, then I have opened up a channel to my Creator, and through that channel, the power will flow and remove the obsession to overeat and restore me to sanity. And it's a simple program, but not easy. And with that, I pass.
Thank you for sharing, Zeb. Would anybody else like to share on this paragraph? We have time for a short share.
This is Pam. I'd like to share.
Sure, Pam, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater. I really liked what was being said about being convinced. That's where it just stopped, and I think about how much I had to go through before my attention got to where I'd had to come to a conclusion that I couldn't control the food. I couldn't stop. I just had no power left, and there was a lot of beating going on in A for me, and several times actually. And what comes to mind also is when I made the decision the first time, it was crucial that I needed a recovered compulsive overeater, because the days that go by without this program, I think that it just once again gains control over the fact that I've surrendered to the idea that I'm the true deal, the true compulsive overeater. And so I was really convinced several times, and today I'm very convinced. And also that I had to go and also be very convinced that there was no human power on this earth. I searched out everything possible to see if I could take that control back in some way, get an easier way out. And because I ran out of all this human power and all ways and means of trying to control this, I was convinced that I had to seek God. And thank God for a recovered compulsive overeater to help me at this point in time. I think that this is really an important part of the big book, because it's having us look over these things once more before stepping into step 3 and making that decision. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you for your share. And that, we're at the top of the hour, so I am going to close the meeting. Thank you for everyone for being on the meeting today. It was a great meeting. For anyone currently suffering from compulsive overeating who would like a recovered sponsor to take them through the steps, the email to contact us is oahop@hotmail.com. You can also find our information on our Facebook page at facebook.com/oahop.org. And we have a beautiful way of closing while we're in the big book, and it's by saying the Our Father. So I'll give you a moment to unmute if you'd like to join me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. Keep coming back.